Hi everyone, I thought I'd take time to provide you with a bit of an update now. It's 1 month since my hair transplant surgery in Turkey. So I've got a few questions here that people have reached out to me about directly, about their own or capturing information for their own experience. So I thought, let me share some of that with you. On my last video, if you haven't watched it, please go ahead and check out my channel and review my last video. I talked a little bit about pain and the unfortunate circumstance which I found myself in, where the pain was quite significant on a scale of 1 to 10. I'm talking sort of 8, 9 in the middle of the night, etc. I'm pleased to share that that has now gone, subsided almost entirely. So all I can feel now is numbness. It just took a little while to rectify, and the best solution I found was to take ibuprofen at sort of 3 times a day, just before bedtime, most certainly just to try and reduce interrupted sleep. Don't get me wrong, I did think for a period of time, is this going to last forever? Because it was that bad, but thankfully it has now gone, and hopefully we won't be seeing it again. So shedding. So shedding is something that people have asked me about as to whether I've shedded yet. Look, I'm 4 weeks in. I suspect my shedding won't start. I'm happy for those of you who have been through the experience to comment and provide additional information about shedding, but certainly I haven't experienced that much. When I wash my hair in the shower every morning, after the gym, I'm finding that as I'm sort of massaging it and looking at my hand, I am seeing hair coming off, maybe 3 or 4 strands of hair, nothing significant. And clearly you'll see it's lighter in some areas. It doesn't really help because I've got glass in the ceiling here and so therefore I've got light shining right down to my head, so it's hard to distinguish. I'll move in a second so you can see the full profile. So I talked about gym. I touched on that in terms of following the gym, having a shower. So a lot of people have asked me, can I go back to the gym? Is it something that you've done early following transplant surgery? Now, look, I was a regular gym goer. I have been a regular gym goer, certainly before my hair transplant, probably 5 days a week, roughly. So it became kind of a non-negotiable for me and part of my day-to-day, my life. And I can understand those of you who have that level of commitment will find it very difficult not to return back to the gym. The suggestion is that you can return to light training workouts a month in. Now, I've returned back to the gym about 3 weeks in. I would say I wouldn't say it was entirely light in terms of weightlifting. I would say between light and heavy, not entirely heavy, but light and heavy. When I initially went the first couple of times, I could feel some throbbing on my head, and clearly that's not a good sign. So I sort of refrained from going too intense. Now, in terms of sort of sweating, that's an issue. I surrounded myself in an environment where there was sort of the air conditioning unit right above me. So I limited the sweating. I haven't done any CV training, and as such, I haven't really been sweating excessively. But also there's this element of not wanting to raise blood pressure too much. So I wear my Apple Watch, and I can monitor that and manage that accordingly and just know where I'm at. So I've gone back. The recommendation is that you don't for a month. I couldn't help myself from going back, so let's hope it doesn't affect my hair transplant surgery recovery too much. I've seen people on Facebook groups and spoken to people who have had their surgery and gone back, and they've been absolutely fine. So I think as a precaution, they don't want you getting carried away, and as such, they recommend 1 month onwards. Haircut. I was asked, when can I start cutting my donor area? Now, they recommend that you can start cutting getting a haircut on your donor area 15 days onwards. So I recently had, quite a short cut on my donor area. I'm going to move the camera actually because it's going to be a little bit better for you to view since I'm below this sort of light. That's a little bit better, isn't it? So I can show you the sides of my head. My donor area has recovered beautifully. The barber said to me, he's not really seen recovery this quick, and it's almost as if you can't tell that I've had a hair transplant. So I'll turn here. You can see on the side, on my right hand side, and on the rear, hopefully you can catch that as well. There isn't much sign of anything, that would suggest I've had a hair transplant. On my left hand side, you've got this, and on the rear again. So whilst I'm here, I think it would be useful just to kind of give you a profile of the top. And you can see the hair sprouting through, but clearly I haven't necessarily gone through that full shedding phase yet. So, I may lose it, who knows? And I'm prepared for that, and that's all good if it happens. So that's the top. Hopefully that's a clear enough view. So yeah, recovering well, and I'm pleased to see the progress 1 month in. So let's have a look, what else was there? So wearing a cap. So I've been wearing a cap outdoors. We've had crazy weather, haven't we, in the UK, for those of you who are based in the UK. I mean, 40 degrees plus, highest temperatures in history, which many of you will be familiar with. So I've had to wear a cap, haven't had a choice. My kids are off at the minute, so we've been away. We went to Wales for a few days, and as we were there, it was scorching. So, I've been wearing a cap when I'm outdoors. I wear my cap probably for a couple of hours, and then I have a bit of a break just to allow it to air. That sounds crazy, doesn't it? But, it just feels good to be able to take it off for a little while. And it is suggested, that you cover your head for the first month at least, and minimize sun exposure for I think about 3 months, something along the lines of that. I happily stand corrected, so for those of you who are better aware, feel free to comment accordingly. So yeah, that's where I'm at. Things are progressing reasonably well. I'm happy with my progress to date. Again, happy to take messages and reply to you directly, but feel free to leave a comment down below if you believe if it's something that I can help with or respond to. All right, thanks a lot.